Previously on the Chronicles of One Life. The Ender Dragon was defeated, the final blow was landed, and somehow, one life still remained. But beyond the dragon, a new world awaited us. Endless islands drifting across the void, filled with shulkers, danger, and the promise of flight. After hours of searching, we finally found what we came for though, Elytra. But claiming them was only half the battle. We still had to escape the end and make it back alive. So we returned to the Overworld changed, stronger, and more prepared to build our legacy. Welcome to episode number 5, Building Our Spawn Base. There are different kinds of excitement a player can have when it comes to survival, especially after being to the end. But for me, the best part, and the part I love the most about Minecraft, is building. But before a civilization can grow, it has to be protected. Hardcore doesn't care how strong you are if the night is left unchecked. So we secured our spawn area and got rid of all the mobs that were there. And then it was time to plan our next move. This area would become something vital. We would place here a gunpowder farm. Because flight, fireworks, and freedom all depend on one thing: getting creepers. Now the build started from the ground up. Stone platforms to control the spawns. We placed down an enormous amount of stone in a circle before placing on carpets to carefully stop our unwanted mobs which would later spawn inside of this platform. Around the outside we also used stone, much in the way we did for the rest of the build. Early to get hold of, easy to build, easy to use. But every mistake could cost efficiency, or worse, the farm might not even work. But later on, once we got everything in place, then came the heart of the farm. We dropped in some snow golems. Reasonably harmless to ourselves, but relentless and perfect bait for our creepers. The one thing that snow golems hate more than anything is creepers. So these guys would be used to lure the creepers into the inside platform to then fall into the water trench and then die to the campfires. This would be our way of being able to get gunpowder without putting our world at risk or causing any harm to ourselves. But then came the trapdoors. A lot of trapdoors in this case, but enough to trick every creeper into stepping where they should. To make it work at its best, we had to go higher though. We placed a roof over the top of our farm, and what we had to calculate was how far up to build our top platform. We would eventually grow this platform to the top of the world, chasing the perfect spawn rates, and to create the maximum efficiency that I possibly could. Remembering to myself that this was actually the first time I'd ever made this gunpowder farm in any world. But then we waited. Once we made it to the top, we would eventually make ourselves a little platform. Here we'd lay a small AFK platform that we could stand in to allow all the creepers to gather, form, and fall into where we would like them to go. It wouldn't take eventually too long before we got to see the farm at work and see if our work was all worth the wait. And this moment certainly brought a sigh of relief. So once we destroyed the pillar, used what rockets we had to fly back to the top, we then just waited. The gunpowder did start to flow, and the first true engine of this world, other than our iron farm, was now alive. This would provide us with the appropriate gunpowder to now fly for the rest of our civilization and world. So as the days grew on and our gunpowder farm was made, it was time to move back into the central point of our civilization. The crop district was already placed and those were starting to grow. But our inventory was also growing and leaving us not much room. So it was time to start thinking long term. The world isn't just about surviving now. It's about building something that lasts, something that I can call home. Really, something to be my legacy. So before those items started piling up in my inventory, this is now the next step. Let's build ourselves a storage. Now it won't be anything mega, it won't be anything automated, but something that was manual and something that we could call home. It is early game, remember, so it'll be simple, reliable, and built using early game materials. Something that could grow with the world and blend naturally into the land we were within. Now, as we spawned in a savanna, our goal was to build within this landscape, to replace the existing villages and improve upon what was there. We began carving directly into the side of the savanna hill, carefully clearing out the stone while keeping the natural roof intact and retaining all of the blocks we had stored. So instead of flattening the terrain, I wanted the landscape to stay in control, as if the storage hall had always existed here, hidden beneath the surface. But to make it believable, the land above needed to be supported, so some oak pillars went in next. These are not just functional, but intentional. They break up the space, they give the hall rhythm, and they make it feel like this cave was claimed, reinforced, and even used once upon a time. Not just a hollowed out space in the ground. So now with this structure in place, it's now time to sort of make it our own. Make it our storage. And fill it out. Chests, barrels, double chests were all what we'd use. Now there were finer details to add. We built up the walls, put the details around the top, and started to just add in those small details that you would normally be missed out in a basic storage system. Now this would form the backbone of our storage system, a place for everything we'd gathered, for everything that we will gather, and become our stop, our place that we can call home. So once I'd learned the layout, got the flow, started to understand where everything would go, we could then start to move in and prepare for what would come next. Some basic materials would come first. Stone, wood, organics, food. But that would only be the beginning of what would happen later. Now we would eventually start to remove the stone, the floor, and take it into something that felt lived in, and it would be piece by piece. Stone bricks, andesite, cobblestone, all worn, textured, imperfect. The kind of floor you'd expect in a place that's been walked on for years. And just like that, it suddenly started to feel alive. And it's small details like this that I'll see throughout my world, where we bring it from a normal palette to something more organic, believable. Now I feel that this world will grow with me, and I'm no doubt that the world will get better as we go as well, learning our build styles, choosing different techniques, and learning about the different biomes in the world. But this is now just early game, our start, our foundation, and one of our main structures we've built so far. But today, well, it's only just the beginning. But we have plenty yet to go. For what would happen in our world next would be the beginning of our civilization, and something that we could call spawn, somewhere that we could call home, and we could let our villagers roam free. Over by the crop district, this is where we would now begin, for each area would be built with purpose. With our world, it will grow, and it's going to grow fast. Over the coming days, over our first 1000 days, which we haven't spoken about, is how we're going to evolve this landscape and turn it into something truly awesome. Our goal for this hardcore world is going to be to upgrade this build and upgrade the village that would traditionally live here. In previous episodes, we saw a village in the savannah. Small, simple, easy. My goal is to build something that the villagers can truly be proud of. Somewhere that they could want to live in. Our block palette for this would be somewhat different. We would go for walls built of mossy cobblestone, mossy brick, cracked brick, stone, andesite, even gravel and tuff. Would all be variants that we could use to make our builds look worn from the bottom and slightly more modern to the top. The acacia wood from this biome will still be the prominent supports for each of our different buildings. And what you'll see in the future is all the other builds being exactly the same, but with different styles, different purposes, and different meanings of each build in turn. Now for the roof at the top, as we kind of guide our way through now, deep slate is going to be our outer line, and you'll see why just in a moment. To create contrast for our acacia roof and our sandstone roof blocks, I wanted something that would make it stand out even more. That slight divide between the deep slate and the orange tones within our roof really make it pop, but also bring the outline to the roof alive. So from a distance, our villagers will know where they live. Now these builds are going to take us time, and today we're only really getting started. With our storage hall now in place, our villagers now ready to move across, our crop district all made. Each episode is going to be a case of improving our area, adding something new, which will provide value not just for ourselves, but for the world and how we grow into this world in the future. We will always remember this place. Remember, this is our spawn. This is the home. This is Zero. This is where every world begins. So I want to make it something that we remember. So with the build now starting to take shape, we could talk about it. This house is going to be used for farmers. We now have 2 of every villager. We've used them before. And I want to bring them over here. So this one is going to be for 2 farmers. It's going to be used for farm storage. So crops like potatoes, wheat, carrots, golden carrots, pumpkins, melons, anything that grows out the ground is going to live within this building. We'll trade with our villagers in here as well, and even use it to store a lot of our emeralds to then later trade with the villagers as well. So it'll serve as a multi-purpose, real use case scenario for our villagers, and not just have them stuck in the ground, not stuck in a 1x1 or in a boat or a cart. We're going to have them that they can roam free within our building. Now that migration and move will happen, but for now let's just build our structures, build the architecture, and give them somewhere to live. This would only be the first of what will be many buildings to come. But what is a farm without somewhere to hold other farms, in Minecraft terms at least? There's a certain level of automation that comes with playing in a Minecraft world. Now, farms are meant to be making things easier, reduce the burden on a player within a hardcore world, because getting materials is difficult, it's challenging, and it can make a lot of worlds a lot more difficult to enjoy. So for our silo that would come next to our villager hall, would be the intriguing sort of early game of myself trying to learn farms, but also provide for myself as the world would grow. Inside here, we would later then build farms for sugarcane, bamboo, cactuses, for various forms of bone meal to help us as our world would grow. These farms would be instrumental. Now I don't know how much I'm going to use them yet, but only time will tell. With the colour palette, we can now see what we're going for. Deep slate for roofs, orange as your primary colours, and our acacia wood to stand out. And our world is now starting to come to life. The vision is becoming true, and I'm so proud to call this place home. As the adventure will continue, We are only early. We're only within the first few hundred days. But our journey is going to take us to the end. Every day could be our last. But we're not going to think about that or dwell on what our future holds. We're going to enjoy the time that we have together now in this world that I call the Chronicles of One Life. Next time on the Chronicles of One Life. With our gunpowder farm running, our storage hall finally taking shape, and with our farmer house made, we begin the journey of transporting our villagers to their new home. And with them, we start building our animal district, bringing farms, pens and life back to our spawn. The foundations are set. Now it's time to fill this world with something worth protecting.